something from one of my folks that got me thinking that there's some stuff that I haven't communicated clearly. So first of all, the rules. The most important thing is diaphragmatic release. This thing right here. This is my diaphragm releasing because what's happening is there's this big horizontal muscle that's going down, and as that goes down, that's coming out. That's pretty cool. Never done that before. Little demo there. Yeah, but that's actually what's happening. And so that's the most important thing that happens. So diaphragmatic release. But the other really most important thing that I've forgotten to say a couple of times is practicing. Anybody who I've taught this to or passed this on to, it's not like I'm teaching it. I'm just passing on stuff that I've learned from other people. Who has said that it hasn't been helpful for them. If I ask them if they've been practicing, they always say no. And so, yeah, so I practice twice a day myself, first thing, last thing every day. And practice means, just like, you can see that I'm also a musician, practice is about what we do when we're doing it just to get better at it. It's not about doing it in response to something. It's not about taking it up in a certain situation, which brings me to the thing that I heard. Using this to help you either go to sleep or get back to sleep is a perfect, wonderful thing to do. But what I say to people is when you practice, it doesn't seem like practicing right before you go to sleep is good, because what that does is it connects this work to sleeping. And what I'm trying to do is have it be connected to any time that you're feeling anxious or tense, or your stomach's in a knot, or you've got a lump in your throat, or all those things that are linked to really biological, physiological, neurological stuff around anxiety and stress. And so, yeah, so I'm going to walk through all the connections between anxiety and stress today. It's not going to take very long, but I'm going to talk about all of them. So the first thing is you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So neurologically, the reason why you do that is because we are set up as a mid-level predator to think that when we're sucking in, when we need a lot of air, we suck it in through our mouth. We need a lot of air for reasons. It's generally about something that we need to protect ourselves, or something that could be linked to stress or anxiety. And so that's why you breathe in through your nose, because it immediately says, oh, this is not one of those situations. In through your nose, out through your mouth. The other one is that you count when you breathe in, you count when you breathe out. Not because some number matters, but because you want the number to be the same. So ultimately, all that matters is the in-breath and out-breath number are the same. It doesn't matter what the number is. The reason why you do that is because the fight-flight response is going to want one of those numbers to be different. For me, it's the in-breath that it wants to be shorter, because I want to suck all the air in, get ready, that space. And that's not the space that you want to be in. So that counting thing defeats that. The other thing is the free back. This has more to do with really wanting this muscle, this whole area, to be as accessible and flexible as possible. If you're leaning back, it's engaged. If you're slouching, if you're kind of in this kind of, there's lots of different positions that would be worse than this. But yeah, so if you can sit in a flat chair, not have your back against the chair, if you physiologically need to, that's totally fine. But ideally, if you can do it in a way where you don't have to sit on the floor, you don't have to sit in the ground, you don't have to sit in a lotus position. This position where I'm sitting on this little studio stool here is totally fine. But again, the point is just to have that free back space. That's the only thing that matters, is the free back space. And then the practice thing. Practicing and diaphragmatic release are the two most important things. And if all you do is kind of practice doing this, that would be good too. But the cool thing about, as I've walked through all the neurological basis from all these other things, you see that there's every single one of those things brings benefits. So if you combine them all with the counting into the nose, out the mouth, diaphragmatic release, free back, all this stuff, and you practice that, then you come to this place where it's really easy, because where I'm at is this place where it's really easy for me to feel when I'm in that spot that I want to be in, where I'm in that spot where my fight, flight, freeze part of existence I'm working to get myself to a place where I'm actually in the space that I'm in. And I've talked about this a lot too, and I'm just going to say it again quickly. To be in this place, like, at least as far as I know, this space that I'm in is okay, meaning that there's not anything in this space that's gonna kill me. So that's important. I don't mean to be extreme when I say that, but I say it for a reason. The limbic system is to keep us alive when we're in imminent peril, not because something might happen, or maybe there's some gangster somewhere, or maybe all that stuff. It's not for that. And as a matter of fact, you'll see predators at work, and you'll see that they're in very calm places. And even mid-level predators, and even folks who are in a place where there's some question about what might be going on. Is this necessarily an okay place? You'll see that they're calm, and the reason why they're calm is because when I'm calm, so I talk about the limbic system. Imagine this is your spine. Limbic system being this thing that sits right on top of it. Reason why is because it can communicate information very quickly to our muscles that gets us to do the things that we need to do. There's not a lot of there's no analysis, not a lot of analysis. So the woman who picks up the car to get it off of her baby that doesn't remember doing it, it's because her memory part of her brain that does memory is not engaged. It's not important. It's not necessary. So all that thinking, logic, reasoning, thinking stuff through part of our brain has nothing to do with the limbic system, which is why we can get in those hamster cage loops. Because when we're in worry about whether or not we're going to be able to pay the mortgage, we're not in that place where we can go, well, either I've worked as much as I can work, or the money that's coming in, any kind of process that we would think through that would get us to be like, well, I've done what I can do. See, that's the literal, come in that calm place. It's not a part of that. So taking up this practice puts us in a position where we can re-engage all that thinking stuff, so we can think stuff through. So that's why it's so important. And so we practice. Like I said, I practice first and last. This breathwork practice, and so that means that any time I need it, I can take it up and start doing it. Bring myself back to the moment that I'm in. Get back to sleep. Get back to focused on the conversation. Get back to the reality of the situation that I'm in, no matter where it is, no matter what it is, and no matter what's gotten me out of that. I have now the ability, because of doing this practice, to come back to that place. And so that's what it's for, to take it up anytime you want to. When I say to people, I was talking to somebody about this last week. I can't remember what the situation was, but it was this sort of this repetitive, stressful thing. And I'm like, start breathing even before it starts. Start breathing when you're on the way there. Take up this intentional, focused, I'm breathing right now, because it was not a life-threatening situation in any way. Take up this breathing practice so that you can be in the space that you want to be as you're moving towards that place. And then when you're in that place, you don't have to take it up. You don't have to get it going. You don't have to get into this thing. Start it before. And I do this all the time. I'm like in and out of this all the time, all day long. There's no downside to it. There's nothing bad. And, I've said this before. I think I said this last week. If you look at the animals that live with you, if you look at little baby kids and up to 10 years old, see them breathing. They're breathing down here. They're not breathing up here, because they haven't forgotten how to do it. Which is why I say that this is something that we all have known how to do. This is about remembering something we knew how to do. It's not about taking on something new. It's about getting back to a place where we already were, where we knew how to do this, and we did this all the time. And so once you get to a place where you're back refamiliarized with it, then it's easy to take up whenever you need to. And I'm not saying this keeps me like floating around in some pink cloud all the time at all. It does not. What it is, it's a way to respond, because things happen, right? Things happen. And I can't predict everything that's going to happen. But when that does happen, what I want to do is make sure I'm back in this place as soon as possible, so that I can be in the space in terms of how I want to respond to situations as soon as possible, so I can be more consistently, with my intentions in terms of how I want to respond to things. So, and there's something else I want to throw out that's actually linked to my singing practice. It has to do with what just happened. I had been talking so long there that I was running out of space, and it was running out of air, and it was affecting how my voice sounded. And that's another clue for me to come back to my breath, because when I'm in this place of having enough breath in me to speak in that kind of center place, then I know that I'm in a balanced place, which is ultimately what all this is about. A balanced place where we can be as much as possible kind of working into that trajectory of balance, so that regardless of what's going on, we can respond in a way that's consistent with my intentions. This is what I'm hoping to do. So anyway, that's what's next, Dr. Joel, for Back to Basics Sunday. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's not clear what kind of day it is here yet, but I'm sure it will be something, and I hope it is something where you are with you, and I will be back on this thing tomorrow.